Good morning. Logan's running, and I'm going to go through the steps I took, steps I researched in order to get him running again. What we had was a no crank, no start condition, which is where I had electricity, I had juice, as you will, but the starter just wouldn't, for whatever reason, turn over. So in my situation, I went through a couple different things. I'm going to go through them in order that I think they need to be done. The easiest fix to getting into more complicated stuff that, thank you, Logan. From the easiest stuff to the more complicated stuff. First and foremost, you need to make sure that the bus is in neutral. And I mean really in neutral. For me, and this ended up being our issue, is the bus wasn't in neutral. It was in reverse. But it was in between neutral and reverse. So it didn't click that could be an issue. Make sure it's in neutral. My recommendation, put it into a gear, have the emergency brake on, put it into a gear, put it back into neutral. That way you know 100% that you're in neutral. The other things that you need to look at, most common ones, would be the emergency exits, making sure they're latched. Open them up, pop them all the way up, like so. Pull them down, latch it. So we have two of those. I did that. By the way, I did all this stuff before I actually thought to look to see if the bus was in neutral. So that's why I'm going through it. The other hatch, make sure the back door is shut. Again, I would open it up, shut it. For these emergency windows, for our style, let's see if I can show you. So we have the style that has this, and underneath there, you'll see that little button that depresses right there. Now, I don't know if that's going to prevent the bus from starting or not, but there is a wire leading from that window that looks like from that button up under or over and into this wire run that we have. And then here's another one of those windows with that wire going into that wire run. It's a good question if that's actually going to stop the bus from starting or not. So that's the two most common, I would say. But if you looked at all that and everything's where it should be, the next thing I would do after that is take a multimeter, test your battery, see how many volts you have. I'm going to have 12.4, 12.6, 12.7 volts in your battery. You also want to take that multimeter and measure the resistance. Well, we'll go show you. All right, so we're back out. We have the battery. Lift the cable up. So you have the post coming up from the battery right there, and the battery clamp. And you can see right now my battery clamp actually has a slight crack in it, so that's something we're going to have to replace. But you put one of your probes, when you have it on resistance, which is ohms, in the center of that post, and you put the other probe out here along this clamp, and you see how much resistance is there. If you have a lot of corrosion or if you have a break in this clamp, you're going to see resistance. If you don't see any resistance, that means you've got good contact, metal to metal, and that's not your issue. Okay, and then we're looking at front of the bus, and so the next step is going to be to check the fuses. This is where the electrical circuits are. So that is where not the fuse panels, but the circuits and other things of that nature. The fuse panel is right there. So we open that up. There were about a dozen fuses in there. It even says fuse panel inside. I know, crazy that they should label things. I was very surprised at how clean the inside of that fuse panel was. I expected it to be mucked up. It wasn't. So after all that's said and done, if none of those work, then it becomes more advanced. It becomes a little bit out of my skill set. Could be the solenoid, could be the starter, could be things that I don't know about. I was lucky it was, like I said, that it wasn't quite in neutral. It was halfway between neutral and reverse. But now I know more. Yeah. So, for today, let's take a look. We're doing one thing and then going to start on another. Our fuel sensor does not work, so we had our mechanic Dan order a new one. It came in. I went and picked it up, and so today we're going to put that fuel sensor in. Here we are looking in the back of the bus, looking forward. We have our fuel tank is behind our main wheels, and that hatch right there is where the fuel sensor is. So when we build the bus, we're going to have to put in a hatch on top of that hatch to ensure that we can still access that panel. So that's what we're doing today. That's the first job, is we're going to take that out. We're going to change out that fuel sensor, see if it works. Second job is the air compressor finally came in, and we bought an air hammer with some attachments, and we're going to work on the sidewall. We're going to try to get that sidewall taken out. We've already got the other one taken out. If we still are feeling froggy after we remove that sidewall, we're going to start with the ceiling. You can see we already kind of bent it and started it in place. I wanted to get these back wires and see what was what. I was lucky I didn't need to take them apart. So that is the plan. As you can see, we are cursed and we have the rivets. So I believe someone counted approximately 1,000 rivets. Rivets. And that is what we're doing today. If I get all that accomplished, I don't think I will. But if I do, yeah, we'll formulate what we're going to do after that. But I think this is going to be a two-day job, maybe 3. But I want to get all the sealing out this weekend. So today's Saturday. Let's get to work. Is the top of the diesel tank. Looks a little gnarly. A little bit of surface rust. What does this look like? Actually, not too bad on that one. Corners. Yep. But we're going to have to save corrosion prevention methods for another day. We're going to have to pull it, grind it, prime it, and leave it open. So I don't want to be working with an open hole that's wet when I'm taking down the walls and the ceiling. So we are going to have to revisit that on another day. But for today, let's grab the probe. Okay, that is the probe. 2 wires, gasket, couple nuts or bolts, and just a simple float valve indicator. Alright, as you see, there it is again. Same thing, 2 nuts, 2 wires, 5 bolts. So we'll remove those 5 bolts, remove the 2 nuts, remove the wires actually from the 2 nuts, pull the whole thing out and replace it. Alright. Look at that. 3/4 of a tank full of diesel. Fuel gauge works. So this is the old fuel gauge. Just sat in the tank like that, and you know, it had a float arm. I'm not sure what piece broke or malfunctioned. But that is what we replaced. 5 volts and then positive ground or negative. It's that simple. And of course it takes half hour to 45 minutes to do. One job done. We're going to button that hole up, get the air compressor, start hitting the wall. And so that's the next step in the project. I'll try to get like a time lapse or something as I'm working on the wall. It's not real exciting. It's just punching holes and popping rivets. Well, he's hooked up. The big green monsters got my Logan. I think it's the fuel pump. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Dan's got our back. He's good at this kind of stuff.